Good morning, dear students. Uh, I wish you a very happy new year for you all. We are going to start the last lecture of principles of quality management, and in the next week you will have a discussion regarding the international laws and regulations. Today is the last lecture I'm going to discuss with you. Then the next 2 weeks, we can discuss more things and related things for quality management. So here you can see the picture of Apple Park. You know, it is one of the very famous brands in the world. Uh, Apple means the highest. It has very big demand for Apple products due to its quality, high quality. So we are also learning quality management. So I use the aircraft and the Boeing aircraft and its manufacturing conditions and airports and tracks as the theme for this lecture series, because when it comes to principle quality management, that industry they use quality management in very good level. So therefore, I hope that you all can remember those examples and the things we have discussed from the first lecture. So I know by experience the quality management lectures are so boring. So I was in the university. I was hearing so many lectures regarding quality management, but I also felt that those lectures were so boring. Then I entered with, in my first year, I engaged with industries. I did some quality management and quality consultancies. And still now I have conducted more than 30 consultancies for private industries for ISO 22000 and some quality awards. And I was able to win quality awards, national quality awards for more than 5 times. So I hope that I was able to share my knowledge and experience with you through these lectures. So hope you are also interesting on quality management. So most of the students they ask me after finish their degree, sir, what type of courses we have to do? And SLSI they have 2 courses. So which one is best for us? So likewise, there will be so many questions at the end of your degree. So I asked that students. So those courses they are also teaching about the things you have learned in your undergraduate time. So you need not to pay your money and pay your and take your time for that type of courses, and you can get some qualifications. So rather than having that qualifications, you can learn a lot through these lectures freely. So if you have any questions, so please take those questions for to the next discussions, and please write those questions and send your questions through your badges before next Wednesday. So then I can prepare those questions and I can prepare a small presentations, interesting presentation for you all. Right. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to start the last one today. In Apple Park, so I use this picture because you all can visit their website, and in YouTube also you can find some videos regarding the Apple Park. So their logo is and their brands, everything is high quality. So they have very big demand, very good market for their products, right? And there are some quality failures reported for Apple products. I think most of the students and you are willing to buy Apple product, right? I also waiting for Apple phone and Apple laptop in my undergraduate time, but I have these things. So I wish you all can get such high quality products, right? So what I just wanted to explain here, the brand and the quality, everything is there. So you can visit their website and how they have designed. You can learn how they have designed their Apple Park. So uh, then you can earn a lot about quality. But there are so many theories available in internet and everywhere regarding quality management, HACCP, everything. But you have to study these things practically by yourself, right? Okay, I think we have discussed hazards, hazard analysis, HACCP, everything we have discussed. So I suppose that you all can develop a HACCP plan individually. So if you have visited some companies, visited a company, then you can develop your own HACCP plan. And this is a very good way to get some money. So I charge more than 300,000 per visit per consultancy, and per visit I charge more than 10,000. So per hour, approximately it's around 5,000 rupees. So you can demand yourself, but you should have good knowledge, right? Those are the examples, right? Some consultants are available, they charge a lot, but I think as a professional consultant that you can do part-time business by learning these things, right? Today we are going to discuss about hygienic plant designing. It is very important for you all, food, agri and IBST all, because you all have engaged in plant designing also, right? If you are as you are technologist, it is very important, right? When it comes to plant designing, here you can see an example, right? When it comes to plant designing, there are so many elements, right? Raw materials are there, and especially food and non-food raw materials are there, right? So it is very important to select and divide those raw materials and identify those raw materials which are food raw materials and which are non-food. And there are some toxic raw materials also we use for cleaning purposes, and some labeling or like non-food applications. So there are so many raw materials. It is very important to label those things properly and identify its applications, right? And equipments and machineries, and all together we call it as processing plants. Right? There are so many equipments in your processing plant and machineries, right? Manpower, people, again very important thing, right? And finished goods are there, and some supportive methods, equipments, and people, right? Supportive things for pre-processing and post-processing, and for sometimes in some industry they are hiring third-party companies, right? And structures, right? Structures are also there, okay? And systems, you know, the water systems, drainage systems, ventilation systems, electric systems, how to get the energy. There are so many systems are available. Sometimes these systems are belongs to the government and some another company, so we have to coordinate with them properly. Water supply, you can see the standard for your to be considered before taking the water. And automobiles are also available. There are so many things are available. I just want to highlight some very important things here, right? So as you are technologist, we have to maintain all these things together hygienically and in a way of quality management, right? All these things, quality management is important. When, as an example, raw materials. So you have to consider the quality of raw materials properly. And when it comes to human power, manpower, so personal hygiene is very important. Their quality is important. Their productivity is important. So everything is important. And water also, there are some standard local standard, SLSI standard. So it is important to adhere to those standards before using water for your process. So technologists are highly responsible people in food, not in food processing, any processing plants, right? As you are technologist, you should have a knowledge on all these things. What are the standards available? What are the laws and regulations available regarding these industries, relevant to your industry, and the modern knowledge, emerging technologies are very important, right? Those days, when I was a student in plant training in Elephant House, we had around 16 tests to check the quality of milk. But nowadays, I think uh, all these things have been changed, because still people are adding adulterants, right? Those days, people add water to milk to increase the volume, and some people add urea to increase the protein level. And nowadays, the people have changed and they are adding different things. So the knowledge and development and technologies and update, you have to refer internet and refer website and refer all the national and international standardized bodies. So these things are very important to be a good technologist, right? Technologists are everywhere, teachers are everywhere, the people are everywhere. So leaders are also everywhere, but to be a good leader, to be a good technologist, you have to have very good update. But nowadays, everything we are conducting through online platforms. So then your father and our father, so they don't know even to get using mobile phone, but now they have to adapt to those technologies. So as technologists, you also have to touch all the things, all the modern technologies around you, right? Why do we need hygienic designs, right? You can just take some materials and develop your plants. Why do we need hygienic designs? So hygiene is very important to elude contamination, to remove, to reduce contamination. So we can discuss these things in detail later. Make sure the process is secure, right? So we have to, you or any quality manager has to, he or she has to confirm that this product is safe for us, safe for our consumers. So it is important to obtain system certifications and attest global excellence. System certifications. Give me example for system certifications. Any example for certifications? You don't know? System certification? What are the system certifications? ISO 22000? ISO 9001? Have you heard? Right? Those are the system certifications. But SLSI means product certification, right? There are so many system certifications are available. So the industry people, they are going to implement those certifications for their company. So for that, hygienic designing are important. And global excellence, and to enhance the productivity, right? We will discuss to enhance the productivity. As an example, you have in your home, you have several bulbs, right? And you have a single switch board. Then to switch on a bulb, sometimes you have to switch on all the switches. Right? You have to try all the switches to find the bulb. But if we number those things, then it is easily you can do these things. Right? Just look at the bulb number and take your switch on. But if not, everything is waste. Right? Productivity is not there. Continuous improvement of the factory or your production premises to create a friendly and safe work environment. These things are very important. And you can see our university, your faculty, it's very good. The environment is very good, right? Everything is there, but there are some difficulties also. So Wi-Fi is not there still. So that's why we are in home, right? To conduct lectures. So normally the lectures are going to the university to conduct lectures, but in our faculty, we are visiting the faculty for our free times because Wi-Fi is not there, right? Okay. To create that's okay. The products and services, right? We have to ensure the quality and to ensure safety of the environment, right? Nowadays, labor rules and regulations are very strict, right? So it is very important to provide a safe environment. If not, some industries. So you can see some. I think you may heard some stories, right? Relevant to the labor rules and regulations. So we can't eliminate these things. So safety is very important. right? That's why we need this type of hygienic design. And before selecting your site, now suppose you are going to start your company, so site selection is important. There should be a land. Nowadays, land prices are also increasing. So land selection is very important, right? If it is a good land, nowadays we have to think of this. Nowadays we have to think on the price. Give me a minute. Okay, right. The land selection is important, but do not think on the only the price. It's space. If it is a food processing plant or any agriculture product processing plant, the space is very important, right? Planning is very important before selecting the land. So for you can design the requirement. So we are, as an example, we are going to produce an ice cream processing plant. So what are the unit operations there? So raw material purchasing section is there. Pasteurization and storage tanks should be there. Then there are so many tanks, and at the end of the product, there are storage premises. With freezers should be there. So plan these things before purchasing the plant. Fresh air and ventilation is very important, right? To get the fresh air and ventilation. Sometimes um, I will explain these things later. So fresh air. Can you remember the thing happened in? I think I can't remember the place exactly. It's a Kunukanda, right? So what happened when we are going to select a land close to such a polluted area? So it is very difficult to get fresh air. If so, everything has to be rebuilt. Then you have to shift your factory for another place later. So before that, there are so many things to be studied, right? Other neighboring businesses, right? Other neighboring businesses are very important. Maybe toxic things, toxic gases and water contaminations might be there. So before starting your business, you have to think on all these things. External environment conditions, sunlight, water, drainage, humidity, and noise, right? Can you remember the incident happening to the pH issue in Biagama zone before 3-4 years ago, right? There are so many things. And political environment is again very important, right? Existing laws and regulation regarding plant designing shall be considered. There are so many regulations and rules are available in ISO and SLS. And so we have to adhere to those rules and regulations. And some general laws and regulations are available. You know, there is a UDA, Urban Development Authority, right? Before initiating your company, if you are going to purchase a land, so for that, we have to go for the UDA or RDA and check whether they have approved it. If not, sometimes the government will take your land for further developments. Might be highways and grounds. So the government has designed how government has designed their lands. But some people they are cheating and give their land for very low cost. But after 4-5 years, then what happened? You will receive some letters from RDA or UDA from the government. Please hand over your lands to this project. So then what happened? You have to, uh, you will have a big problem. So all these things are very important. Other basic requirements: road access, energy, and flooding. It's very important, right? You can see we have very popular drinks like Coca-Cola, like beverages. All these factories are close to a river. Then what happened in flooding time? So it is very difficult to get supply their water and to transport these things. So in flooding time, we don't have Coca-Cola and some other beverages in the market, right? Still, we are suffering these issues. So all these things are very important before selecting your site, right? Here you can see some pictures. So active dumping areas are there and inactive dumping areas are there in this picture. So when you are going to select your land, it is very important to avoid these things. And beach, you know, in these areas there is a order. There is an order and saltness, and here also not good for us. So you have to avoid these things. And here you can see some well-designed plants, processing plants. So you can see their structures and how they have selected their lands, right? Got it? And defense against external hazards. How to defend against external hazards? There are so many external hazards as we discussed in the previous slides. So before selecting a site, it is very important to identify these hazards. You know the meaning of hazard and threats. What are the differences between hazards and threats? If it is a hazard, you can identify the hazards before it is occurring and take the actions, and we know it is a hazard, right? Avoid pests and animals. Pest controlling is critical. The pest controlling is very highly, it is very critical thing. And animals, sometimes we can see when you are conducting lectures, dogs are in your lecture rooms, right? So we have to avoid such animals and even pests and insects and rodents, birds and their droppings, everything we have to avoid if it is a processing plant. If not, it is you will not have a good market for your products, right? Foreign dust and smoke prevention, it is again, as we discussed before selecting your land, it is important to avoid this type of smoke and foreign materials, not only dust, foreign materials, right? Something, there are some microbes and smell is there, bad smell, and some uh, gas composition deviations, right? In sea line, the coastal areas, you can see this salt level is very high, so it is difficult to maintain your materials, right? Then prevention of external odors, these things are important. And vegetation, you have to avoid vegetation for at least for around 5 meters, right? If we have plants, large plants, then you know insects and birds they are used to uh, make their nests, and they will come to those plants, and then uh, such insects and birds, they will enter your processing plant. So it is very important to avoid vegetation. So you have to cut down all the plants, and grass also avoid, right? Please avoid these things before initiating. Here you can see one of the very popular plant, food processing plant in Sri Lanka. So you can see they have they are maintaining their 5 meter area, right? And when it comes to building selection and building construction, right? Building selection and building construction, here again very important, right? If it is any production plant, you know, it's the construction is very important. Uh, in our faculty development also, we did some, we have requested some extra concretes and materials from MAGA for your laboratories, right? To absorb the shock absorbance material should be there to avoid the vibrations. Likewise, you know that there are some general things are there, right? Based on your machines and equipments, uh, like things, it is important to identify these things before installation and ask your constructor or contractor we are going to install this type of plants and equipment. So it is important to and prepare your layout, machine and equipment layout, and hand over to them and ask them to facilitate these things. There are some drainage systems you will have. You should have some power requirements sometimes. So for this particular machine, three-phase current, but other machine we need only single phase, and drainage systems, and some machines that we need vacuum, and some machines you need compressed air. So likewise, there are so many requirements are there. So before purchasing and before construct your plant, it is very important to identify. And here you can see in construction, concrete curtain wall protects foundation. So these are general things. And here you can see an extra layer, concrete section to prevent entry of burrowing rodents. And ground concrete prevents entry, right? Flow plate around service or other pipes and cables gives protection, right? There are some piping systems and service tubes and piping systems and drainage systems. So it is important to have additional concrete layer, right, around this service areas. Because if not, you can see some rodents and animals will come through these areas, right? To avoid these things, it is important to identify these hazards and take necessary action. And here you can see slab and screed and some resin covers, right? Resin covers, okay, and covered tile, right? Very important to avoid sharp edges. I will show you some example. If we have sharp edges in these areas, it is very difficult to clean. In your home also, you have some sharp edges, right? In that area, you can see dust is there. It is very difficult to clean. In any processing plants, you have to avoid all these sharp edges. And here also you can see silicon sealant, right? Silicon sealant to avoid sharp edges and paste attacks. And here also, right? In this picture also you can see how to avoid sharp edges. And a very famous hazard is the space between roof and the wall. You can see in your home also, there is a space in between your roof and the wall. So birds will make their nest in this space, and some rodents also there. So to avoid these things, proper sealing should be, and cover strip should be installed, right? You can see how to avoid. And in this same picture, rounded off corners between walls and facilitate cleaning, right? It will facilitate cleaning, then easily you can clean it. Sorry. Protective screens and false ceilings can facilitate cleaning but hide dirt, right? Only install if electrical installation require protection, right? Then likewise, it is very important to cover the sharp edges. Then only you can clean it clearly. And here again you can see some this referring this picture. Some wrong designs here. In this design, you can see some open areas. Then what happened? Dirt and your raw materials will collect in these areas, and then microbes also there in the environment. Then what happens? There are some contaminations. So to avoid that, you can design your equipments and plants according to this slide. Now you don't have any space, right? In this one. Here again you can see some sharp edges. So as a result of that, dirt is there, soils are there, but here these are the correct systems, right? Now it is very easy to clean and no dirt collection points. when you and when it comes to the metals and aluminum sheets, so these are the wrong systems, right? These are the correct system. Here again you can see sharp edges, and in this area it is very difficult to clean. And you can see the people there who are preparing kottu, right? Kottu තැටිය ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැකලා තියෙනවනේ. ඒතර කොත්තු ගහන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ ගන්නවා මෙන්න මේ වගේ prepare කරපු පොඩි කැලි දෙකක්. You can observe the things available in this area, right? If you visited, if you have observed, you will never eat kottu, right? Garlic are there, the garlic pieces from he or she start preparing kottu. These things are available in this area. නේද? කොත්තු කඩේ පටන් ගත්ත දවසේ නම් තියෙන materials මේක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා. And මේ වගේ designs, right? So and in your cups, right? When you go to any shop, you can see some cups. At the bottom, they have very sharp edges. So you can see the bottom line, very dark color, right? 100ක් විතර තේ බීපු කහට එකේ තියෙනවා, right? So in designing food processing plants, not only food processing, any processing line, it is very important, it is very critical to avoid contamination and cross-contamination. So for that, the designing are very important. I hope that you have a good idea now. These are the good designs. These are the bad designs. Here also you can see sharp edges, dirt buildup is there, and you can cut this area and open up, then airflow is there, no dirt buildup, right? So, and here the sharp edges, but in this design, no sharp edges. You can see here sharp edges, here slope legs, slope shape is there. So avoid dirt buildup, right? Those things are very important. And here again you can see unhygienic designs, but here it is a good one, right? So before designing your factory or your processing plant, even your equipment, please think on these things. Please pay your attention on these things, right? Again, you can see some pictures, right? And another one, very important one, right? In this, the processing plant, you can see there are two, one intake is there and one exhaust is there. In this end, air intake is there, here, exhaust area. So what happened, you know, the exhaust, there are so many dirt materials, right? Toxic materials are also there, bad smokes, and some carbon dioxide concentration also very high. So what happened when we design these things improperly, then your process will also contaminate it. So the height of these two things are different, should be different. This is the height of the exhaust area should be higher than the air intake, right? If not, the fresh air will also contaminate it, right? And plumbing systems, when we design our systems, our plumbing system like this, then you can see dirt materials and some unnecessary things will develop in this area. You know, by your experience, right? By your experience, you know what happened when we design our plumbing system like this. And these are the good systems, recommended systems, right? And here again, you can see unhygienic mortar designs. When it comes to hygienic designs, you can see in processing plants, they have implemented, they have used mortars like this. Then contamination is very low, right? මේක අර motor එක අනිත් පැත්තට තමයි fix කරන්නේ in processing plants වල to avoid contamination, right? And agitation, again important one, agitation. What happened when we design agitators like this? Then oil and grease is there, right? Oil and greases are there, so there is a possibility for contamination like this. So this is not recommended, right? But here you can see a recommended good design, right? Good design to avoid such possible hazards, chemical hazards, right? And some metal particles will also be incorporated as a result of this motor. But here everything has been avoided, right? So before designing, these things are very important. And hygienic valves, you can see in most of the garden taps available in your home. You can see how it get contaminated. The handle, you can see always it is black in color, right? Soil is there, right? Dirt is there. So it's not actually hygienic. And in your kitchen, you can see some hygienic design. And we always recommend foot or knee operating taps. But nowadays, with the COVID, always people use foot operating taps and knee operating taps and some sensors. So always we recommend such taps. And there is a tap called doctor tap, right? Then you can operate it without touching the tap. So like wise, some hygienic plants and tap valves are there to use in processing plants. Right? I hope that there are no more questions. No questions. Those things are very easy to understand. And color codes then. Color codes, right? There are so many standards for colors. You can use colors as you wish for your processing line. There are some standard colors, right? For a danger, traffic light system like the text color always white, right? If the background is red, it means danger, yellow caution, and green is safe, right? So based on these colors, you can determine the things, right? The processing plant is very busy plant, so you can't read all these words. So just look at the board and you can understand the color. Then you imagine that this is no danger is there. If it's a red color, we know threat is there, danger is there, right? And black and purple colors we use for fatal dangers, so very critical dangers, right? And blue and white, informational purposes, right? Blue and white for any information. Signboards we use blue screen, blue background, and white letters, right? If we use red background and white letters for information, it is wrong, right? You need not to remember these things, but just have a look and understand there are standard colors. And before implementing these things in your factory or in your working place, please download these things from internet, and there are some books also. But always you have to think, and always you have responsibility to download these things through a reliable sources, and right. For plumbing systems, there are some standard colors, right? Black color for waste material, blue color for fresh water, right? You can likewise you can see fuel for brown color. If it is seawater, green color, right? Maroon for air and sounding pipes, and if it is a steam line, then the color is silver. Red for firefighting, fire protection. Then you can't use red color for fresh water, right? Likewise, there are different colors according to ISO 14726 standard, right? Standard might be changed according to time and the requirement. So that's why I told that you always have to pay your attention and get updates from the national and international bodies, right? And some signs are again available, before applying for your license also, driving license. There are some signs to remember, but here also some signs in processing plant designs, right? There are some signs. And you can see some examples, actual examples, how they have used colors for their lines. Here you can see light blue, red and green colors, and yellow and black, right? It means a danger. So acid and name of the acid also mentioned here, and the way of circulating also mentioned. Here also you can see the colors, how they have used their colors, right? Red and blue tubes and piping systems. And valves they have used, how to build your company, build your place hygienically, right? And I recommend you to identify the different areas in your processing plant based on its risk and hazards, right? Then there are green, you can use your own colors. Basically, we use green for safe, red for high risk areas, and yellow for medium risk. So likewise, please divide your processing plants based on its hygiene requirements and hazards. Then you can easily implement these standards and things in your processing plant. For equipment designs, the raw material types are very important. We use some metals and polythene like plastics things in developing food processing equipment. So, but there are some standard and there are some recommended materials to use, right? So, if it is a processing plant equipment, right? So you can't use aluminum like materials. So there are some recommended metals such as stainless steel. So stainless steel, there are different types of stainless steel available, but out of those materials, AISI standards are very important. AISI means American Iron and Steel Institute. So they have recommended 316, 316L, 304, like some limited types of material. So before purchasing equipment, it is very important to request the materials that they have used to develop equipment. Right? If not, you can't apply for ISO and other standards. And for polythene and plastic varieties also available, recommended ones. So you should have a understanding on these things, right? These things are available on in the internet, and books are available. But always, when we are purchasing equipment for your laboratories, also we consider the materials, right? Always we consider it. And there are some standards and regulations available for these plant designing and equipment designing. Food hygiene regulation Sri Lanka, you can download it from the internet. And FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization guidelines, European Union guidelines, ISO safety of machinery guidelines are there, and European Food Safety Authority is also there. There are so many institutions, right? There are so many institutions. Here you can see some examples. So before starting your factory, before starting to purchase equipment for your working place, so please read the standards. Please follow the standards developed by these recognized institutions. Right? In the food hygiene regulation, there are 7 parts. So if you are interested, I can circulate the I will upload the regulation to LMS folder. Then if you're interested, you can download and read. There are 7 criteria. So I think I'm not going to explain one by one. Premises, it means the place you are going to and your processing plant, how to prepare it, and cleanliness and articles and requirement equipment, how to clean it, and how to avoid the cross contamination like food contaminations, and personal hygiene is important. So we know wear a mask and clean your hands. There are different standards for hand washing. Still, basically, we have 5 steps, 7 step, and 4 step hand washing procedures, right? And how to clean your clothes, how to what types of sanitizers we can use, you know, colorless and odorless chemicals always we can have to use. Do not use Lifebuoy like any soap and any chemical with fragrance. So those things are prohibited. And wrapping and transportation techniques are also there. How to wrap it, what type of materials are there to use, and interpretation. Likewise, all these things are available in the food hygiene regulation in detail, right? And some important things rather than rather than adhering to those things, there are some other important things. Noise, light, and temperature. Noise means the sound, right? You know the maximum bearable level for human is around 90 and 80 decibel. So if it is a food processing plant or any processing plant, agriculture or any extraction plant, so we are going to use machines, right? So as a result of those machines, you know, there are motors and some metal particles and some reactions inside the equipment. So it will develop noise. And according to the countries, you can see they have standards for maximum sound limits, right? And you can see for Italy, it is around 87 decibels. And it comes Netherlands or Sweden, you can see it's around 85, but USA 90, right? In Sri Lanka also 80 to 90 range we have. And light limits are there. Light is very important. Proper lighting conditions you have to provide for your laborers and officers. And light is very important. As an example, if it is a packing area, for your packing area, light is very important, right? If not, you can't observe its color clearly. Well, right? Observe its color is very important. So therefore, proper lighting conditions should be there. So basically, we use low frequency lights. If we use high frequency lights, you can see some tube. You know the tube lights. Tube lights. Okay, they will use the frequency is very high, right? So there is a small. We can't observe by our naked eye, but there is a small vibrations are there inside the light, so it is difficult to use. So therefore, before selecting your bulbs, it is very important to get recommended bulbs. Temperature is again important, right? In lighting conditions, you can see in this slide lux values. Temperature, you know, the room temperature, it is very important to maintain. If we increase or decrease the temperature, what happens then? Productivity of the human and your manpower will be decreased. So therefore, maintaining temperature is very important to the normal room temperature. Sometimes if it is a fish or meat processing plant and ice creams also, the temperature is somewhat around minus, right, inside the freezers. So the laborers has to visit that freezers, take samples from the freezer. So If so, we have to provide a proper clothing for this, right? Understood? Right. So you can see this video. I will upload some videos to the LMS, then you can watch these videos to get more knowledge. So, and I will upload an assignment also to the LMS. So please do your assignments and please adhere to the deadlines also. And the guidelines, I will upload assignment guidelines to the LMS. So please read these things and do your assignments individually, right? So hope you have get something through this lecture series. And I'm not well today, so I just wanted to explain these things and share the knowledge experience with you regarding the plant designing. There are so many things you can get from the internet, and there are several books are available, but I just wanted to explain some very important things with you. So if you have questions, please share with me and I will provide answers. And next 2 weeks we will have some discussions, and I will upload some videos and documents to LMS folder. And so therefore please do these things. And if you have any question, if you are interested to learn more on quality, and if you are interested to continue your job in this area, so please contact me, so I will help you in my best to find some details. And quality means it is always it's updating, so there are so many new things are available. So keep in touch with the industries and other international agencies and international. You can see in even in discovery, you can see some food and food, not only food, always processing plants are there. They show, and there are some in nowadays you are in home, so you can easily watch these channels. And there is a Japanese channel, I can't remember the name, so they also do some programs regarding the processing plants. And you can download, you can watch the quality of Boeing manufacturing company, and Mercedes Benz and Audi company, and likewise there are so many popular companies are available. So please visit those things, good factories and bad factories, and compare these things. right? If I'm interested, right? So thank you very much for being with this lecture series. And normally I will do things for around 10 days, but in online, I think it's not good. You're also suffering with these online systems. So I know I can understand these things. So that's why I do very important things which I share with you. Okay, thank you very much again, and we will meet again on next week.